off to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater. And a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Derek Larger, Cody Felger with you as always. So today we're going to break down the 2021 NFL draft picks for the Indianapolis Colts and give our least favorite to most favorite. We kind of did this with the offseason pickups that we had, the guys that were brought back, people were new and onto the team. We did that before. So Cody wanted to say, well, let's do it with the draft picks. So we're going to make it its own separate video. So Cody, we'll have you start off here. Okay. The 7 players that the Colts drafted in this draft, which one was your least favorite?
Well, we'll start off right the bat with controversy. Maybe it's controversy. I don't know. I just think Sam Ellinger, for me, is the least favorite. I understand why the Colts picked him. Like, I get the logic. I just think overall, not really impressed with Sam Ellinger as a quarterback, and especially there in the 6th round where I felt like maybe you could have addressed other positions that are more of maybe an immediate need or maybe in more need of depth. You elect to go quarterback here. It was a bit of a surprise. Now, not to say I hate this pick. I don't think there's any of these picks we can outright just say we hate because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with these picks. But I think if I'm choosing the least favorite, it probably was Ellinger just for those reasons that I said. But, you know, there is good in this pick, like we've said, right? It adds competition to the backup quarterback position with Jacob Eason. He makes him have to compete and get better as well. So, but overall, looking at all these 7 guys, he's probably number 7 for me.
Gotcha. I understand why you would say that because, you know, especially for when it comes to immediate need, right? Sam Ellinger most likely may not ever play for Indianapolis. It really just depends on how stretched thin the Colts get at quarterback. And, you know, who knows? Maybe he's the backup to Carson Wentz when he leaves at some point. I don't know. But, you know, obviously Sam Ellinger, not much of an impact right away unless something drastic happens. I'm going to go with the one that I think is the it's not necessarily controversial, but I'm going to go with Mike Strawn, wide receiver out of Charleston. The reason why I ultimately say that is because I honestly don't believe Strawn's going to get any real play time here, at least not right now. I think he certainly has potential to do that. But when it comes to everything else, I know he's 6'5". I know he can run. I know he's a great athlete. But, you know, I just don't really like the 7th round wide receiver of a Division II school. I know that obviously Ballard and the crew picked him because they fell in love with him somehow. But, you know, when it comes to these late wide receivers, Colts really don't do a great job of getting a bunch of those. We've seen a few of the guys who we draft 5th round or later end up really not doing much, you know. So ultimately, I'm not sure about that pick. Honestly, just for me, it's just the biggest one where I just don't see the reasoning for it. I understand why you would get him, but I just really don't have a reason for him. But let's go to the next one here. Second from the bottom here. After Sam Ellinger for you, who is your second least favorite?
Probably Sean Davis, honestly, because your safety room's already crowded. I get he's a big hitter and all that stuff, but I just don't know if there's necessarily a major need, especially with, you know, the other Sean Davis that you signed. You have George Odom back. So really, what is his role? Is it more of just a special teams guy? You know, are you going to try to keep that many safeties on the roster? I just wasn't a huge fan of this pick, I guess, in the 5th round when I felt like maybe corner was more of a pressing need than safety at that point. But I get it. It was probably best player available at that point, and they felt like Sean Davis could help them out on special teams right away. But not really super overly impressed with Sean Davis just as a player. He has a lot of things I do like, but I just think for those reasons, that's probably why he's number 6 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you as well. Sean Davis here at number 6. I mean, ultimately, you said it exactly. Like, the safety room's already been crowded. Colts have signed a couple different safeties already. Ironically enough, already signed a Sean Davis earlier in the offseason. So it would be unhealthy for my mental health to be able to try to remember which Sean Davis is which throughout this offseason. But, you know, like you said, what's his role going to be? I really don't know. I know they said, oh, he's a hard hitter. He's aggressive, and we love that about him. But, you know, there are multiple times where, you know, he takes bad angles, and obviously he's going to be a depth piece of anything at the safety position. And, you know, seems like special teams is going to be the forte for this guy. But, you know, I figured if you were just going to draft a special teams guy, you probably could have waited a little longer to do that. But nevertheless, he's 6th here for me. Who's number 5 for you?
Okay, number 5 is Will Fries. I think I like the value of where you got him, but I don't know. I just think 7th round, you waited the 7th round to get an offensive lineman. I kind of felt like you probably should have gone a little bit earlier, even to add some depth at the offensive line. But I will say there's a lot I do like about Will Fries. Like, I like his versatility. I like what he could bring just to the offensive line. I think the Colts got him a lot later than a lot of people expected. But I guess didn't love waiting till the 7th round to get a guard. So I guess it's probably less about him as a player and just more about where you got him at that point, where I felt like you could have done more there. Just not like overly, I guess I'm just not really overly impressed with him as a player as well, I guess. But I mean, he's fine. I think he'll be a solid depth guy, maybe a Joe Haig guy like that for you, which can be very valuable. But I think just compared to some of the other guys that I'm seeing, he probably sits there at number 5 for me.
Okay. Number 5 for me is going to end up being Sam Ellinger at this spot. You know, I know Sam Ellinger may not get much of a chance to do stuff, but ultimately I get why you drafted Sam Ellinger, you know, to fill that last spot in your quarterback room. And you drafted him for a couple different reasons, because you liked his mentality, you liked his personality, you liked the guy because he was a winner. He has intangibles that you feel can be useful, and not only in games, but when you know, are practicing. You know, you and I have been talking about it for weeks after that pick was made, how Sam Ellinger is a lot like these AFC quarterbacks now that are able to run, can move around and throw the ball deep with on the run. You know, it's just one of those guys that helps get the team, you know, ready to go on Sunday. So ultimately, that's why I have Sam Ellinger here at number 5 for me. Now you're number 4. We're in the middle of the pack now.
Yep.
We're number 4 for you.
So I'm actually going to go Mike Strawn here. I think I really like Mike Strawn. I mean, he's a physical freak, man. Like, at D2, he was destroying competition. I mean, you said you don't think he's going to have much of an impact. I kind of disagree here. I think potentially he could have a bigger impact than a lot of people are thinking. I don't know if necessarily that means day 1 impact, but I think physically he's probably, including Desmond Patman, probably the most physically gifted receiver the Colts have ever taken. I mean, he is just a monster of a player. Monster. So obviously the D2 is a concern, but I look at him and I say, man, he is an athlete. No wonder the Colts fell in love with him, right? And, you know, especially if one of these guys goes down or you're trying to round out your wide receiver room, would you take a guy like I don't even know, you know, one of those back end receivers, fill in the blank there, or would you take a chance on a guy like Mike Strawn, who has so much potential as a wide receiver, especially in round 7? That's where you get your potential. Most of the time, you said it doesn't work out, but I like the potential here. I think he has, out of all these later round picks, 5th and beyond, I think he has the highest ceiling from a physical standpoint. So that's why I like Mike Strawn here at number 4.
All right, so I had Strawn as my least favorite, and you have him right here in the middle of the pack. Obviously, difference in opinion there.
Yeah, you had Ellinger really high for me, honestly.
Yeah, right. So. And then I have Will Fries here at number 4 for me, a little higher than what you had him. I understand why, you know, you'd be comprehensive on Will Fries, but I like the versatility that he provides, somebody that can play multiple different positions. And I just think ultimately, again, where you got him in round 7, I am quite surprised that this guy didn't go a couple rounds sooner. Was a really well-rounded offensive lineman at Penn State. Is pretty well accredited too. So I'm glad that you're able to get another offensive line depth piece that you feel that you can use in a more versatile group of ways. Okay, so let's go to the top 3 picks here for us. Now, I'm curious as to how this one's going to go. I think you and I might agree with number 3 here, maybe. And for me, number 3 is Kylen Granson, tight end out of SMU. I mean, I've raved about this guy a whole lot. I love Kylen Granson, and I think as soon as he started having interviews and started talking with the media and whatnot, I think people really started to fall in love with his personality. It just seems like a really fun guy, and we obviously talked with him before, and he's definitely got a lot of swagger, and he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and he's even shown it at minicamp. The rookie mini camp. So I am on the record saying that I think Granson's going to be the most impactful rookie in the first year. So, and I'm going to stick with that for right now. And I'm really excited to see what Granson is at this spot. Who's your number 3?
Yeah. See, I was going back and forth, and these are very interchangeable for me, but I think I'll stick with Granson as well. I was going to go a little more controversial, but I'm going to stay with Granson. I think that's a solid guy because, we think he'll have an impact, but like how much of an impact right away will he have? I think it'll be decent, but yeah, I think these other 2 guys specifically have a lot of upside that is like really, really high upside. And I think that's what separates it. Not to say Granson doesn't. I think he still has a high ceiling. But these other 2 guys, like we talked about, or we'll talk about here, I mean, I just think their upside is just even more.
It's higher for the positions they're at. You're right.
And it's more impactful position too. Right?
Yeah,
these 2 are same position.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right. Number 2 for you. I'm curious as to who it is.
It's Dio. It's got to be. I mean, I love him. I mean, I don't know if you heard or you saw Zach Kiefer's tweet when they were out there in minicamp and he just saw Dio Odenigbo and he's like, oh my gosh, that man is humongous.
He's huge. He's as big as DeForest Buckner, and he's a defensive
He's
end.
longer than DeForest Buckner.
He's longer than DeForest Buckner, too. That's
which is
crazy.
Insane to me that's even a thing we could say. But, yeah, I mean, the talent is there. The size is there. Everything you're looking for is there. Just the injury. And that's why I think just slightly a lot of – it's crazy to think a couple weeks ago everybody hated this pick. Or not everybody, but a good chunk of people – hated this pick. We were shocked. I actually looked back at our reaction a couple days ago at all the picks, and the Dio one was hilarious because we were all hyped up, and they were just like, "Wait, what? I can't believe we just did that."
I mean, I didn't know. I didn't recognize the name until they showed me the film, and they showed that one play that everybody knew, where he just literally blew up the one lineman and then came straight in it. It looked like something Aaron Donald would do. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's how I remember that kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally get you. So why don't you tell us why Kwity Paye is your favorite draft pick? Why don't you tell us that?
I mean, honestly, he was kind of one of the guys that I was looking at 21 and saying, man, if he fell, like, this is an instant impact. Honestly, some people have said, oh, hey, you don't know if he's going to be day 1 starter, folks. I hate to tell you, he's going to be a day 1 starter. Like in minicamp that the Colts just had, he was the starter, right? And I think he's not going to relinquish that. I mean, he's just one of those guys. Like you've seen different guys that the Colts have drafted, right? You say Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman last year, Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson, some of those guys where you're just confident. You're like, they're going to be a day 1 starter. That's the same feeling I get here with Kwity Paye. I mean, he is just all around, slightly undersized, some people would say from a height standpoint. But, I mean, he's just so good against the run. He's got some things he needs to improve against the pass rush, kind of his counter move, right? I think that's the big thing that the Colts have said he needs to work on. He's very aware of it. But he's just a guy that strikes me as an instant impact type of guy that even as a rookie is going to have a big impact on this defensive line. So for that reason, and he's healthy, right? So for those reasons, I think that's why Kwity Paye, first round pick and the number 1 pick, I think, in my heart, and I guess in yours as well, for this 2021 draft.
Okay, so the ultimate reason why I wanted to ask you 2 and 1 from the very beginning is because I just kind of wanted to get a feeling for yours. And also because I did want to see if you were going to contradict with me or not. I am going to contradict with you on this.
Oh, my word.
I actually am going to go there. I am going to say that my second favorite was
start typing. Start typing
from the defensive end from Michigan. Look, I love Kwity Paye.
Oh, man.
I love his motor, and I absolutely love the power that he plays with. I think that, from day one, he's going to be an instant starter, and he's going to make a great impact being on that right side with DeForest Buckner a lot, and I think that's really going to help him. But like you said, has a couple things to work on. And not saying that Dayo Odeyingbo doesn't have some things to work on as well. I think the ultimate issue with Dayo is that he's such high motor that the issue you have with him is sometimes he actually takes himself out of the play because he's going so hard that he loses himself in the play. So, like you said, Dayo is longer and bigger than DeForest Buckner, and this guy is going to probably be coming off the edge. And in some circumstances, if, Dayo shows he can play on the inside as well on NFL defenses, then that allows you to bring another pass rush specialist on the end and put Dayo in the middle with a DeForest Buckner. And that in the middle, that is really scary if you're any kind of quarterback that you have to deal with. I just think when you look at the grand scheme of what those 2 defensive ends can get to, I just think with Dayo's potential, just because how sheerly big this guy is and the motor he plays with, Kwity Paye and him both play at a very high level. They're very high motor guys. I just think the potential for pass rushing ability with Dayo just has me slightly wanting to be ahead of Kwity Paye just a little bit. I get the argument of, Kwity Paye's healthy. I get that. He's going to start the year and Dayo may not even play at all. Who knows? I have no idea. But ultimately, I think that's why Dayo for me is number 1, just because when you look at the intangibles, I can't help but get excited that this guy has a 3-inch longer wingspan than LeBron James. That's just incredible. And LeBron James is 6'8" and 255 pounds. Good Lord, I can't fathom that. That is just so hard for me to just ignore. So that's why I have him there.
Here's a counter argument I would have to that. It doesn't matter how, obviously size is important, but it's not the ultimate factor, I think. So for me, I feel like Dayo is a little bit more refined right now as a player. Everybody has things to work on coming in, right? And they still do within the league. I just think right now, Dayo for me, not Dayo, Kwity Paye for me is more refined at this point than Dayo. Even if he was healthy, I still feel like I would have him slightly above because I just feel like what he lacks in maybe height or weight, he makes up for in energy and then also just in technique. So I get both sides of it, but I think Kwity Paye for me just slightly for those reasons.
And I just think ultimately with Odeyingbo, when you factor into account that he could probably play on the inside and outside, that's just ultimately why I think he's slightly over Kwity Paye for me right now, just because of the extra possibilities you can get with somebody his size. So, sure. we'll let the comment section decide on that one. I'm sure there'll be some good conversations for sure in the comment section about that one. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. Who's your least favorite? Who's your most favorite? You want to give us your list of guys? There's definitely some up and down situations there. I'm kind of curious to see if somebody actually will put Kylan Granson at number 1 or 2. And I've seen a lot of Kylan Granson fanboys out there already.
Which is great.
I'd like to say I'm one of them, but I wouldn't say I'm quite that high on the fanboy chart yet. If he turns into Travis Kelce, then yeah, Kylan Granson obviously will be the number one of the rookie team. But you know, that's kind of a tall order to fill in the shoes of a Travis Kelce. You know, Travis Kelce is from UC.
Really?
UC was a third rounder. I mean, so you know, Granson, same conference, you know, fourth round guy, you know, kind of has the same intangibles as a Travis Kelce. So who knows? Maybe things work out that way. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let us know what you think in the comments. And as always, go Colts.